The moment you tell someone what to do, some invisible part of their brain starts looking for a reason to do the opposite. Not because they're difficult, not because they're stubborn, because that's simply how the human mind is wired, and almost nobody on earth knows how to use that wiring against itself. There's a technique that con artists, elite negotiators, and even skilled parents have quietly used for decades, one so counterintuitive that most people dismiss it as a joke, right up until they watch it work on themselves. It's called reverse psychology, and it's built on a single, uncomfortable truth about human nature. We don't actually want what we're told to want. We want what we believe we're not allowed to have. Think about the last time someone forbade you from something and how much more interesting it suddenly became. Think about the last time someone tried too hard to convince you of something and how instantly suspicious you got. That reaction isn't random. Here's what makes this so powerful, and honestly, a little dangerous. Direct persuasion puts up walls. The second someone senses they're being pushed, pressured, or sold to, their guard goes up instantly, whether they realize it or not. But reverse psychology never pushes. It simply removes the option, questions the desire, or challenges the ability, and lets the other person's own mind fight to prove it wrong. They don't feel convinced. They feel like it was their idea all along. Today, we're breaking down exactly how this works, the psychology hiding underneath it, real situations where it quietly controls outcomes without anyone noticing, and where the line sits between influence and manipulation, because that line matters more than most people think. And if you enjoy uncovering secrets like this, the kind of psychology most people go their whole lives never understanding, make sure you're subscribed to Sam Knows, because we're going to keep bringing you exactly this. Now let's get into it.
Picture a toddler being told not to touch a specific toy. Within minutes, that toy becomes the only thing in the room that matters. Now, picture a teenager being forbidden from dating someone. Suddenly, that relationship feels more meaningful than it probably ever was on its own. This isn't coincidence, and it isn't just childish rebellion. It's a documented psychological response called reactance, and it doesn't disappear when we grow up, it just gets better disguised. Salespeople have exploited this for generations. The moment a customer hears, "This might not be right for you," or "We're not sure you'd qualify," something shifts. Suddenly, they're not being sold to. They're trying to prove they deserve it. The salesperson didn't push. They simply closed a door and watched the customer fight to open it themselves. Parents who've raised strong-willed children learn this instinctively. Demanding a child eat their vegetables creates a battle, but calmly saying, "I don't think you're ready for spicy food yet," often gets a child reaching for it within seconds, purely to prove they can handle what they were just told they couldn't. Even in negotiations, skilled professionals use this constantly. Instead of pushing hard for a deal, they'll casually mention they have other options, other buyers, other interested parties, without a hint of urgency. The moment scarcity and doubt enter the room, the other side's desire intensifies, often more than any aggressive pitch ever could. Here's the psychology underneath all of this. Human beings have a deep, often unconscious need to protect their sense of freedom and choice. The instant that freedom feels threatened, even subtly, even politely, the brain doesn't just resist, it overcorrects, often chasing the very thing it was steered away from. This is exactly why direct arguments so often fail. While a single well-placed doubt can completely change someone's mind, without them ever realizing they were guided there at all. Now let's get into the actual mechanics, because reverse psychology isn't one trick, it's a small collection of techniques, and knowing which one to use changes everything. The first is called the assumptive close in reverse. Instead of asking someone if they want something, you calmly assume they can't handle it. This probably isn't for you. You might find this too advanced. The brain doesn't hear a warning, it hears a challenge, and most people can't resist proving a quiet assumption wrong. The second is the forbidden fruit technique. This isn't about outright banning something. That's too obvious, and breeds resentment instead of desire. It's about limiting access just enough to make it feel exclusive. Only a few people actually stick with this. Most people give up before they see results. Suddenly, staying becomes proof of belonging to something rare. The third, and the most subtle, is strategic indifference. This is where most amateurs fail completely, because their eagerness gives them away instantly. The moment you seem like you need someone's agreement, their compliance, their yes, they can feel it, and that need repels them. But when you genuinely, visibly don't need the outcome, when you'd be fine either way, people move toward you instead of away, because certainty without desperation is one of the rarest things they'll ever encounter. The fourth is the controlled question. Instead of arguing your point, you ask a question that forces the other person to argue against their own resistance. Here's what ties all four together. None of them push, none of them convince. Every single one simply creates a small gap, a doubt, a limitation, an indifference, and lets the other person's own mind rush in to fill it. That's the entire secret hiding behind reverse psychology. You're never actually changing anyone's mind. You're just quietly rearranging the conditions their mind reacts to. Now here's the part almost nobody addresses honestly, and it's the part that actually matters most. Every technique we just covered can build genuine trust or quietly destroy it, and the only thing separating the two is intent. Here's the honest test. Are you using this to help someone make a decision that's actually good for them, one they'd thank you for later, even if they resisted at first? That's influence, and it's a legitimate skill. The same one great teachers, doctors, and mentors use every day to guide people who are stuck in their own resistance. But are you using it to get something purely for yourself? Something the other person wouldn't choose if they saw the strings being pulled? That's manipulation, and no amount of clever technique changes what it actually is. Here's a brutal truth about this entire skill. The people who use it best, the ones who never get caught, the ones it works on again and again, are rarely the loud, obvious manipulators everyone warns you about. They're calm, they're patient, they never seem like they're trying. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous, because the moment reverse psychology feels like a technique being performed on you, it stops working, which means the people most skilled at it leave almost no trace behind. This cuts both ways, though. Once you understand how this actually works, you become far harder to manipulate yourself. The next time someone casually mentions you probably can't handle something, or suddenly seems indifferent right when you expected persistence, and that recognition alone breaks most of its power instantly. That's the real value hiding inside this entire topic. It was never just about learning to influence other people more effectively. It was about finally understanding the invisible architecture behind persuasion itself, so you stop being moved by forces you can't see and start noticing exactly when and by whom your own mind is being quietly steered. Here's the twist most people never expect once they truly understand this. The strongest use of reverse psychology isn't on other people at all. It's on yourself. Every time you've procrastinated on something you know is good for you, told yourself, "I'll start Monday," or convinced yourself you probably can't. Before even trying, you were running this exact same psychology against your own mind, and it was working perfectly, just in the wrong direction. So here's how you flip it. Instead of forcing yourself through willpower alone, which rarely lasts, try quietly removing your own permission. Tell yourself you're not ready for the harder version of a goal yet, and watch how quickly some part of you wants to prove that wrong. Stop announcing your plans loudly to everyone around you, because research shows the praise you get for merely stating an intention can trick your brain into feeling like the work is already done. The moment this becomes purely about extracting what you want from someone, you've crossed from psychology into exploitation. Here's the real lesson underneath everything we've covered today. Persuasion was never really about clever words or perfect arguments. It was about understanding that people don't resist ideas. They resist feeling controlled. The moment you stop pushing and start creating space for someone's own mind to arrive at a conclusion, you're not manipulating them anymore. You're simply speaking a language most people never learned existed, where the real decisions actually get made. If this video changed how you see persuasion, influence, and your own mind, make sure to like it and subscribe, because next time on Sam Knows, we're uncovering another hidden law of human behavior that's been quietly shaping your decisions your entire life, without you ever noticing it was there.